preview Arkansas versus Vanderbilt. I heard Bob Holt's voice there. So he was in person in the media room at Baum. And so, Bob, I'm assuming you must have driven there. Did you see? We've received reports on our text line that the line for the Hog Pen has formed. Did you see this line when you pulled into the parking lot? And if so, how long was it?
I came in on 15th Street and then turned up Razorback. I didn't notice if it went around the corner, like whatever street that is, but it definitely was taking up the block from 15th on up to where you turn into the stadium parking lot.
What's the longest you've ever waited in line for something?
Probably something to get registered for some class when I was at Mizzou. Either that or probably the DMV.
I think we all, yeah, that's one we can all associate with, and maybe not waiting 24 hours to get first in line at the hospital.
Yeah, I've never camped out for anything.
Yeah, I've never even really been camping, so I don't even think I'd be more comfortable camping on a sidewalk anyway. So watching the press conference, it sounds like, and Vanderbilt hasn't confirmed it yet, but later today we assume that they will when the pitching rotations come out, that they're changing their rotation for the weekend because they've started a freshman lefty, Devin Futrell, for just their midweek games. And this guy's compiled an incredible season without even appearing in an SEC game yet. You know, he's got the third lowest ERA in the SEC, ninth best strikeout to walk ratio in the country, and it's been against they play a lot of good midweek games. So they're going to throw Devin Futrell on Friday against Arkansas, which means they're probably going to throw two lefties against the Hogs.
Yeah, the national paper reported that a couple days ago, citing sources. And you're right, I think his last game, he was supposed to pitch against Indiana State, I think it was Tuesday night, and they pulled him. It's kind of like when some hotshot minor leaguer gets pulled from the lineup because he's getting called up. So, and the week before he'd thrown 6 innings against Louisville, which we know they've got a really good program, and I think a pretty good rivalry with Vanderbilt. If I can remember from some of those games in Omaha, they didn't seem to like each other too much. But he went 6 innings, gave up 1 run. I think he pitched 5 innings against Michigan. Really good Big Ten programs in the World Series recently, and Tennessee Tech, a team that beat Tennessee in a midweek game, and I think lost by Auburn once. So, yeah, he's pitched against some good teams in the midweek. And like I said, I think he's got 56 Ks and 6 walks in 48 2/3 innings. He's a lefty. We know lefties have given Arkansas trouble. And but I do find it interesting how his stuff obviously is really good and he's probably really poised. But the first time you step on the field in SEC games, Baum Stadium Friday night, it's going to be pretty rowdy. So I'll be really curious how he handles that atmosphere.
We saw last weekend with Peyton Stovall still nursing that finger injury that Dave had both Zach Gregory and Jace Borfin in the lineup. But now you're going to add Stovall back in there at first base, potentially, because Slavens has been good over there. And, there's been some good mojo with them winning 2 out of 3 and really winning 2 series in a row without Stovall. But I'm assuming he'll be back in the lineup. But, something's got to give here. Chris Lanzilli has been out of the lineup quite a bit. Borfin and Gregory usually trade, spots in left field. And with Stovall coming back, someone's the odd man out there.
Yeah, of course they're trying to get Kendall Diggs in the lineup too.
Yeah,
because he's hit 2 huge home runs against SEC teams, and but it's a good problem to have. It's just saying, gosh, who am I going to play? They've got some good options, and yeah, Dave didn't say he was going to start Stovall. He just said he was available. But, I think he's sitting around 270, and he's played, pretty solid first base over there. And so, I imagine he would get back in there in some capacity, and especially with Auburn throwing a couple, or not Auburn, Vanderbilt throwing a couple lefties. Lanzilli's been one of their best hitters, forever. Jan Power had some really big hits for him. So you'd expect him to be in there against those lefties. But, it's good to have some options, some different, movable parts you can you can make some decisions on. It also obviously helps for having good pinch hitters available.
Mm-hmm. Bob, with pitching this weekend, obviously Will McIntyre was the big story from the Auburn series, and but are you concerned with how Connor Nolan pitched on Friday, the tried and true ace of this team all season long? He's had so many incredible starts and just didn't really have it last Friday. Is there any bit of concern that maybe he's running out of juice or running out of gas here in a really important part of the season?
That didn't really concern me. I couldn't speak for the coaches. We didn't really ask them about that. They always speak, in a very confident way about Connor. I know Davis said, hey, you can't expect him to be on his A game every week. When you think about, the Ole Miss series, he pitched eight, didn't have his best stuff by far, gave a lot of hits and walks, but, he held him to 4 runs in 8 innings. As long as he never gone was 8 innings. So, 4 innings the other night, that's a hitter's ballpark, and Auburn's got a pretty good lineup. And, he could have pitched longer. What Dave talked about, they were down 5, I guess, or whatever it was. And, maybe give Connor a little bit of a break. They used to do that with Blaine Knight or, Isaiah Campbell. They'd be pitching well, and you'd think, well, why didn't you leave him in there, pitch the 8th or the 7th or something? And Dave would say, well, we want those innings for later in the year in a regional or in a super regional or in Omaha or whatever. So, Connor was having a bit of a rough night. He's throwing a lot of pitches. I think he's right up there, about 50 innings in SEC games alone. So, I think he'll be fine. I expect him to throw well tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. I do want to switch over to basketball real quick because the news from yesterday of Nick Smith Jr. being now the number 1 overall recruit in the class of 2022, according to 24/7 Sports, first official number 1 overall recruit for Arkansas. Does it feel like, with everything that's happened in the last few months with what's coming next year, that the pressure really is starting to mount up? And do you think that this is just adding, I guess, one more brick on these guys' backs that they might have to carry as far as pressure and everything coming into the year?
Well, yeah, I do think the pressure is going to build, especially if Jalen Williams decides to come back. We don't know. At least I don't know what he's going to do. If he comes back, I think there's a real strong possibility Arkansas will be the number 1 ranked team in a lot of preseason polls. There are quite a few polls. Obviously, everybody is AP and the coaches poll USA Today is the top polls, but there's several publications that do them, and but even if Jalen Williams decides to stick in the draft, Arkansas is going to be ranked pretty high because they have those 6 really good freshmen. They got some good grad transfers. They got good player coming back like Devo Davis, and so there's going to be pressure on the Razorbacks. But that comes with the expectations, and that comes with recruiting this great class, And I think Eric Musselman and the players are probably ready to embrace that.
Yeah, the idea of it being too pressure packed right now, I don't know. That's what these guys are coming to this program for. You know what you're signing up for when you either transfer into Arkansas or decide that this is where you're going to start your college career and hopefully end it. You're going to a place that's got a frenzied fan base. You're going somewhere where the expectations are very high now. This is the sort of thing that athletes have to buy into, that kind of thing. There might be pressure because you want to perform well or you want to meet certain expectations. But, these guys know what they're getting into coming here. They know the class that they're joining into. They have their own set of expectations, don't you think, Bob? And I think right now that's probably to win the whole thing.
Well, yeah, these freshmen are coming in, and a lot of them are ranked really high on the draft boards for next year. Arkansas, obviously, Moses Moody was their first round draft pick. I don't necessarily call guys first one and done because they're guys that come in here and they're done after a year for whatever reason. Not necessarily because they're going to the NBA, but Moses Moody set the bar high there, and then now you've got, I guess, 3 guys. 3 of their signees are are rated as first-round draft picks. Of course, Moses was not rated a first-round draft pick after coming in as a freshman. He was rated high. He was about a top 40, top 50 guy. But I think most people thought he'd play 2 years and then go. But he had such a good freshman year, he was a lottery pick, and of course he made the right call to go, and was 14th pick by Golden State. But the players come in. I think players want to play with other good players. So when they see other top guys going, and that's happened for other programs like Kentucky and Duke, and now it's happened for Arkansas this year. And the grad transfers want to go where they obviously want to develop and have a shot to play pro ball. That's what all these guys want. But they also want to play for a winning team. They want to play in the NCAA tournament. They want to have a shot to go to the Final Four and win it all. And so, so there's no doubt Arkansas is going to be up there. No doubt even if Jalen Williams doesn't come back, to me, there's no doubt they'll be in the top 10, maybe the top 5, because these newcomers are so highly rated.
And Bob covers Arkansas track and SEC outdoor track and field championships beginning today for both the men and the women. And I mean, I guess reading your article, I almost feel like Arkansas is an underdog in the women's side because they're ranked behind A&M, Florida, and LSU. And on the men's side, it really seems like Coach Bucknam expects that there's a lot of ground to make up for his sprinters because Alabama's throw teams have been so good.
Yeah, and then you look at Alabama, and they got the top throwers in the hammer, the discus, and the shot. Not the javelin, not there. And they've got really good distance runners too. Alabama has been, big threat to Arkansas in recent years. And it's funny, you look it up. Of course, the SEC started in 1933. Alabama's won 3 SEC outdoor titles. They won a couple in the 50s, and they won one, I think, back in 1980. Arkansas has won 20 outdoors since coming into the league, I think it is, and the 25 indoors. So they won 45 track titles between indoors and outdoors since '92. So they're right. Tennessee's won 25. I think Tennessee's won 25 outdoors. Arkansas has won 20. Maybe LSU's won 23. But Arkansas has had an incredible run when you consider they had 50. Those other schools had a 50-year head start in the league against them. So. Yeah, Arkansas always. I think they're like the 7th of 7 ranked teams in the conference, but they always have such good depth in the distances, and they just seem to. Chris Bucknam's talked about their DNA, and so on paper, I think Alabama is the favorite because of those throws and their distances, and they have some other good events. But certainly would not surprise me if Arkansas men won again because that's just kind of what they do. And they've got a lot of good athletes doubling in the distances, especially some good hurdlers. And then the women, it's unbelievable to me anyway. They won 23 of the last 25 SEC cross-country indoor and outdoor. And you're talking about the best conference by far. It's not even close, by far in the country. And they just dominate it like you can't believe.
Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the MLB is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so head to the website today or use your mobile device to join and use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.